Welcome to The Last Word, Mr. Chris Post. I'm David Jenkins, and Chris,
Yes.
it's gone as quick as it came. Football season is in our rearview window.
For us, no
It's,
more local teams in our area, which is
that's all
kind
that
of
matters to us.
yeah, exactly. We're tops. We're first and foremost anyway. But yeah, a little earlier than it usually has been because we've had Malden kind of make runs in semifinals at least, and Cape Central's making semifinal runs, but they ended up dropping in the quarterfinals last Friday, and they except for one game, it was kind of a close call for Cape Central, but Malden kind of. Had it handed to them a little bit, but it was a good run for them, undefeated season up until that point. So it's a good way for them to, not a good way for them to end, but a good season overall for them.
Yeah, we talked off air all season long about how good Trinity was, and they Malden found that out. Trinity missing their top wide receiver and top running back, and still put it on Malden the way they did.
You wouldn't be able to tell with what they had, the weapon that they had. They're quick, they're fast, they're
big.
All their skill positions had the advantage, and the push that Malden's offensive line usually gets was not there at all. They could not get any push, could not get that running game going, and that was the beginning of the end.
A lot of 3-and-outs, defense on the field a lot in that first half, and second half the defense just didn't have anything left. Trinity, I think Trinity could give Lamar a run. I really do. I'm not saying they'll beat them, but I think they can give them a really good game where Lamar's kind of ran through everybody the last few years. I really think that Trinity gives them a game if they meet in the championship. I know that
Lamar's on the other side of the bracket.
Trinity's got some. I think they play Lawson, I believe, this weekend. So both teams have a little bit of work to do, but I think that I think that'll be an outstanding state championship game. Driving through Mountain View Liberty on Saturday, and they were playing Lamar, and they were a lot of interested fans that didn't make the trip. I guess they were coming back from the Deer Woods, but that didn't end well for Mountain View Liberty. Lamar rolled them the way they roll everybody else.
And Mountain View Liberty is a Class 2 school that's usually been pretty nails, but Lamar's Lamar, and that's just what they're going to do. But I'm like you, having seen Trinity, I watched the game online, and they have the size up front. They have the guys obviously on the skill positions that can get to make some things happen. But their quarterback, he's just a sophomore, and I get blanking on his name, but he really impressed me with his escapability of extending plays. That hurt Malden early, and if you have a guy like that can make plays. Like even against Lamar, they have a few of those guys that can make plays and can hold up and maybe get some push on that defensive line as well. So you never know. With them, I know a win over Lamar would be huge, obviously with the state championship, and beating Lamar to do it would be huge as well. But I'm kind of like you. They got a shot. Got a better shot than a lot of teams do.
Then you look at the other side. It was Cape Central. They had a great first half against Lamar, and they just didn't have enough there at the end. Lamar made a good put, Ledoux. Lamar. Got Lamar on my brain. Ledoux made a really good push there in the second half, and Cape Central just didn't have enough. But Cape Central, they got back to the playoffs. They did what they were supposed to do. Didn't have the greatest record, but they play a really tough schedule, and can't hang their heads if you're Cape Central.
Mid-season, you wouldn't think they would have had this. They would have been in this position to go to another semifinal, but you're right. They turned it on like they always seem to do. Seems like they always seem to turn it on playoff time, and they got the job done. And it all kind of started with Quaychon Chisholm and what he was able to do. And he's still scoring touchdowns even though the season's over. That kid is he can find the end zone. And once he decided he wanted to do it, he just kind of turned it on and done it. So it's another the two teams that we expected to kind of, other than maybe Cape Central, expect to kind of have a playoff push. They did that, and it's a good way to end the season for them. And next season won't be too far along.
I hope not. It can't come soon enough, and we can start practice next week.
Yeah.
Now the football season's over. We really haven't talked about it much on the show this year, but the Carr Trophy.
Yeah.
Carr Trophy candidates, and I've got 4 names for you that I think are candidates.
I could probably match you on those 4 names.
Just tell me if there's anybody else I'm missing here. Right. But I've got Zane Faust from Poplar Bluff, quarterback. Alan Mills from Hayti, quarterback. Quaychon Chisholm, who you've already mentioned from Cape Central, and Braden Cox from Scott City. Anybody that's
maybe Cooper Callis. You maybe throw him in there. I don't really know his numbers, but that offense that they had this year, they put up some points against some teams.
I left him out because he's a junior, and it tends to go only one junior ever. Earl Wheeler from Dexter is only junior ever to get it. You know,
Only back-to-back guy to get it.
Only back, you're right. Only two-time winner. But usually they tend seniors. But Cooper Callis is a very good quarterback. You know, if you know.
He's just another name that I would maybe in consideration. I don't think he'd be the top. I think they usually have top three, maybe four. Throw some guys in there, but you know, out of those four, I mean, you know, you had Braden Cox breaking school records and rushing for, you know, you have the numbers here.
You got the numbers. He rushed for 2,427 yards and 35 touchdowns.
It was a huge reason for their, you know, their season this year. A lot of wins were off his back. The way he ran the ball, and you know, Allen Mills, he had over 3,000 yards by himself.
Over 3,300 yards of total offense, 51 touchdowns. He threw for 2,347 and 32 touchdowns.
That's insane.
Only 5 picks.
That's insane.
He rushed for 1,044 yards and 19 touchdowns.
52 touchdowns. What did you say?
51 touchdowns.
51 touchdowns. Excuse me. That's insane.
51 touchdowns.
That's insane. And they beat Scott City twice. You know, and then. Let's hear some more.
Zane Faust set a school record at Poplar Bluff for 2,931 passing yards and 35 touchdowns, both school records. And Quayshawn Chisholm, he had almost 3,000 yards of total offense. He rushed for 1,628 yards and 17 touchdowns, threw for 1,313 yards and 18 touchdowns. So he had 35
touchdowns.
Total touchdowns.
Whew.
Same as Braden Cox. I mean, there's some good talent.
Yeah.
For my money, if I had to rank them, I'm going to rank Quayshawn Chisholm 1, Mills 2, Faust 3, Cox 4. If I had to rank them, my reasoning is Quayshawn Chisholm did it against much tougher competition than anybody else. Their schedule was brutal, and he still put up big numbers. Without him, I don't know what they do. They kind of struggled at times with him, and without him against some of those teams they play. I don't know if they come through. Mills, he turned Hayti from a good team to a really good team. Just couldn't quite get over that Valley hump, but they were missing some players. Farr and Moore were out too. If he has those weapons with him,
and still have a shot.
Yeah, and he still has a shot.
Still have a shot to win it.
You had those two. They might have pulled out Valley, and I would put him on top if they would have done that.
Yeah, I'm like you. I kind of look at the schedule and with what Quayshawn did especially towards the end of the season in games that winner go home games, and I didn't realize he had that almost 3,000 total yards, 35 touchdowns. That's some production against the teams if you go back and look at the teams that they played.
And if I'm not mistaken, he played defense too.
He did.
And none of these other, I guess Cox did. Cox played defense, but Mills didn't play much defense.
He wanted to.
Right, he wanted to. And later in the season, he did play some, but when he had to, he was kind of forced into action. But they tried to keep him healthy by keeping him off. And Zane Faust didn't play much defense, or if any, for Poplar Bluff. And so that kind of put Chisholm over the top, kind of a both way.
Yeah,
player.
I think there's not a lot of years where I think that every kid may be deserving, but you can make a case for any one of them. Really, you can.
Either one of those four, you can make a case for.
I'm a numbers guy, and I don't care who it's against. Really, I know you play some bad teams, and I get that. But a lot of times those games you don't get a lot of good numbers in those games with against
Very
bad
true.
teams. You either sit out early or you just don't have the opportunity to.
Or your team runs it up, or you run the ball 50 times.
Very true. True. Especially if you're a quarterback, right? And in that situation,
and there's not a lot of that that goes on in this area. I'm not saying that's what was happening.
No, there's not. And with those numbers, 51 touchdowns. I mean, Mills is up there for me. It might be an A-B type situation for me with him and Chisholm, but those two I think are the top two contenders in my book, just based on the numbers and what they did for this season. But any of them, I'll take any
of these four. I'll take any of them to start a team.
Absolutely.
Any of them.
Absolutely.
It's any four of those can be good. Like I said, I just tend to lean toward Chisholm. A little over Mills. I think Chisholm puts up the same numbers if he plays for Hayti as Mills did. So it's and that defense thing just kind of put over the top for me. But Mills is fantastic. I mean,
a lot of people didn't get to see him.
I saw him play, I think 2 or 3 times, and he was dynamic every time.
Yeah, every time he touched the ball, he's got a chance to do something. And he was, like you said, he took Hayti to a pretty good team to a very, very good team instantly. So any one of those, I'd I'd be okay with on my team.
Yeah. Well, and that's football.
Yeah.
That's it. Football for 2016, and
We'll have the Carr Trophy. We'll announce the Carr Trophy, and of course they'll have their.
and I'm sure we'll
celebration
have
and all
about a
that
2-minute segment.
We'll
on
have
that.
we'll maybe argue about whoever gets it if it does go to the right person.
Yeah. If it's not one of these four,
Yeah,
there's going to be. We might have something to say.
It's got to
but,
be one of those four.
If I'm assuming it'll be one of
It's
these
gotta
four,
be.
and it's a very good very good group of talent.
Yeah.
But it's tough this year. Last year was pretty much a given. It was going to go to Al Young. Pretty
Yeah.
much a. And it's pretty. Last few years is pretty much okay. It's going to go to this guy or that guy. But this year it's wide open. I think it'll be interesting to see who gets
Through those four.
Mhm.
Through those four. Now, if anybody else sneaks in, I'd be surprised. I really would.
But with that, our football coverage is out. Next week, we're going to have a show. It'll come out a day earlier, obviously, because Thursday is going to be Thanksgiving. But
Don't want you watching on Thursday. Don't turkey
but if you look on Wednesday, we'll have our basketball preview edition, and I'm sure there's going to be some good stuff in that. Hope basketball season's here, yay!
Kobe! Ha! It's time, baby. Let's do
Kobe.
it. Next time I see you, it's basketball season.
Kobe doesn't even play basketball anymore.
But he can steal ball. Every time I put some clothes in the hamper, it's Kobe.
Okay, so we'll see you guys next week. Maybe if he didn't just chase you off. So
Nope.
we'll see you next week with our basketball preview edition on The Last Word.